Scheduled meeting of the San Benito County Planning Commission to order. If we could please have the notice of temporary procedures read.
The San Benito County Planning Commission welcomes your comments. Each individual speaker will be limited to a presentation total of 3 minutes. When addressing the commission via Zoom, phone, or in chambers, please state your name and county in which you reside for the record. Please address the commission as a whole through the chair. If participating via Zoom, select the Participants tab and click the Raise Hand icon. If you are using a phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. When your turn arrives, you will hear that you have been unmuted. If you are participating in person at the chambers, please complete a speaker card identifying the item on which you wish to speak and provide your completed card to the clerk prior to consideration of the item. Speaker cards are available on the table at the entrance to the chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Bianchi, if you could please lead us in the pledge.
Ready, salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we could please get a roll call.
District 1, Rodney Bianchi.
Present.
District 2, Richard Way.
Present.
District 3, Robert Scaliotti.
Present.
District 4, Robert Gibson.
Present.
District 5, Celeste Toledo.
Present.
All commissioners present in chambers.
Thank you. Can we get an acknowledgement and certificate of posting?
I move to acknowledge the certificate.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Department announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to announce that the Board of Supervisors hired a law firm by the name of Prentice Long, and they started actually at the beginning of this month of July. They're going to be representing the county of San Benito, and as you all know, we had our former Assistant Counsel, Joe Ellenwood, retire, so we'll have Sean Cameron here with us, helping us with all legal matters for the Planning Commission as well as RMA, and we also have David Prentice, who I met earlier today. I've actually met him since the beginning of the month, but today we met in person, and he asked if he could approach the commission to share a few words, if that's okay with the chair and the commission.
Absolutely. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good evening. I just wanted to take a minute or two just to introduce my firm and Sean to this body. Prentice & Long is a municipal law firm of 12 attorneys with offices in Redding and Fresno. Obviously, I'm in Fresno since I'm down here, but the firm represents municipal clients from the Grapevine to the Oregon border and throughout the Sierras. At this point, we have 45 to 46 public agency clients. Most of those are counties, believe it or not. We are county counsel in 7 different counties, and special counsel to counties, another 10 or 12 counties beyond that. We also are city attorneys and general counsel to special districts. So we have an ongoing expertise in municipal law, and Sean Cameron is a senior associate with the firm. He's been with us for a long time, and he is very excited, I believe, about taking on this role as the in planning and land use and code enforcement. He's also assigned as general counsel to the Pacheco Stormwater District. And so he's going to be a busy guy, but he's ready for this challenge, and we're ready for it. I will be acting as county counsel in the very near future. I'm actually doing it now, but we have another county counsel, so we're working through that issue. But we have an entire crew at Prentice Long who will be here. Amanda Erhammer will be she's a workplace investigator, but also not top-notch municipal litigator. She'll be heading the litigation. My office will be picking up as much of that's not insurance-covered litigation as we can to keep it out of outside counsel's hands, because they're a little more expensive than we are. We also have my partner, Margaret Long, a longtime partner and actually my co-founder of the firm. She's going to be assigned to HR. She's already developed a relationship with Henny Ring. They have weekly meetings. She's an HR expert and has served as personnel director in several counties, so she comes well acquainted. She also does law enforcement, so she'll be advising the sheriff and probation, as well as doing the HR work. Who else we have? Sean will be doing the planning. He'll also be probably backing up in Public Works. I'll be doing the board and any other issues in administration, as well as trying to revamp the county council's office and kind of make it responsive to the county's needs. So if there's any questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, I'll get out of your hair.
Fantastic. Oh, thank you for that. Commissioner Scagliotti?
Just one question, sir. Do you represent just rural counties, mostly?
The majority of our counties are rural, and I can tell you, I was Alpine County Council for 10 years, and that's a county of 1,000 people. So that's a very small, it's the smallest in California. I am currently Sierra County Council, which is the second smallest, it's 3,000 people. I am releasing all my clients. I am now in the process of transferring them to other attorneys in my firm. Our other land use attorney will be taking over Sierra, so I'm relieved of that duty. What I told the board here is I want to be fully devoted and solely devoted to the county of San Benito. So that's my intention. I have a few other clients to clean up, like Kern County. I have work there, but I'll finish that up in August, and then I'll be here. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
All right. Well, thank you. It's good meeting you, and keep this guy on the straight.
Absolutely, we will. Sean, did you want to?
Yeah, happy to be here. Excited to work with the county, and so I'm excited to be here and work with the county. Is this?
Oh, there we go.
Okay. So yeah, as I said, I'm excited to work with the county and the planning commission. I have experience working on land use and planning issues, and look to continue that work here.
Great. Welcome aboard.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You moved on me.
For that, yes. We also wanted to announce, we're happy to have him on board. We've met a few times already with Sean and with David. This was the first time that we actually see each other, so I'm happy to be with them here in person. I do want to also indicate that it was a request from the Planning Commission to bring to you from time to time planning applications that have come in for discretionary permits. We have permits all the time, but this is discretionary permits, and at this time, we want to report on 2 that came in over this last month. So we have one commercial cannabis application, 230001, the Ivan Villa. It's on Bolsa Road. It's located. The site is located a little bit over half a mile north of Flint Road, approximately half a mile south of the intersection of 156, west of the Hollister Municipal Airport. It is in the unincorporated area of the county of San Benito. And their proposal is for cannabis cultivation, manufacturing, nursery, packaging, and distribution activities on approximately 20 acres. And they propose to have greenhouse structures along with an all-weather access and parking area. So we just got this application just a few weeks ago, and we'll be processing that application and bringing it forward to the Planning Commission prior to any potential entitlements.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And just finally, we wanted to indicate to you that on June 21st, our last Planning Commission meeting, Planning Commission voted to deny a conditional use permit for the Wilson property for PLN 200031, and the applicant filed within 10 days a timely filed appeal to the Board of Supervisors, and the appeal is tentatively scheduled for the regular board meeting of July 25th, 2023. All public hearings are now mostly in the afternoon session, beginning at 1:30 p.m. So just wanted to update the board, the commission with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Public comment Is there any public comment for items that are not on the agenda but are under the purview of the Planning Commission?
There does not appear to be any public comment via Zoom
Any
or
in
in
chambers?
chambers.
No, no. Okay, very good. Public comment is closed. Consent agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? No. Is there any public comment on this item?
There's no public comment in chambers or via Zoom.
Public comment is closed. Is there a motion from the commission?
Motion to adopt the minutes?
Consent agenda? That includes everything. Okay, we have a motion to adopt the consent agenda. Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Why is it a different? Oh, it got broken up. Okay, so it's a separate item. Yes, please. Yep, and the acknowledgement, certificate of acknowledgement posting as well should be there. Council, do we need to do a separate motion since it's a separate item on this agenda for the minutes?
I would, yes.
Okay. So if we can get a separate motion to adopt the minutes, because I thought it was under consent.
I'll move to adopt the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Regular agenda, 9.1.
Good evening, Chair, Planning Commissioners, and members of the audience. My name is Victor, Tavoy, Assistant Planner with the County of San Benito. So I'm here to provide you a status update on the PLN 220060, the Borland project located at 1989 Old Hernandez Road. So I want to start off by providing you a timeline of this application. So at the end of last year, staff received complaints of large events occurring on Old Hernandez Road. An investigation was conducted by our code enforcement officer in the month of November to verify the complaints. As a result, the code enforcement investigation determined that the site address 1989 Old Hernandez Road was operating a commercial outdoor recreational business that included private outdoor camping, wedding events, and charity and corporate events. And so the owner was issued a notice of violation in which he was informed that they had to cease all unpermitted activities until required permits were obtained. From an initial review of, so on December 27, 2022, the site owner submitted an application to rightfully operate their outdoor recreational activities. From an initial review of the application, staff determined that the application was incomplete, and the applicant received an incompleteness letter listing the required material to further process the application. Okay. In March, the applicant submitted the information requested with the exception of one item requested by one of our departments. This included an inspection by the Hollister Fire Department to verify access road to property to see whether it complied with the fire safety standards. Okay. The applicant scheduled an inspection for from the Hollister Fire Department in the month of June. In order to expedite the process application, staff determined that the fire inspection could be written as a condition of approval, and so we scheduled this conditional use permit for the June Planning Commission. However, from further deliberation on the project, staff determined that we needed time to further evaluate the environmental impacts and consequences of the project. In this deliberation, staff determined that that the property exhibits significant environmental features and sensitive environmental receptors that must be considered in the project development. Consequently, staff will be sending out requests for proposal for the preparation of an initial study under the California Environmental Quality Act.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the commissioners before I go to public comment? Commissioner Way.
Yes, a question. Do we know if the applicant has continued or is continuing to hold these events despite the pendingness of the approvals and applications, et cetera?
So they have ceased all operations until they've obtained their permits.
Thank you.
I have a question. Was the applicant planning on being here, or is there a reason why the applicant is not here?
They did not plan on being here, no.
Can I ask why? It's like
I did not inform
do
them.
you know why? Okay.
Because we're not making a decision today. This was just to
Okay.
get a timeline.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Bianchi.
I just had a question. December till March, why did it take such a long time for them to comply with what you
So
need?
there was several items that we needed. So for one, it was a site plan. They were working with a consultant to get the site plan drafted, so that took a while. And then their additional information.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Scagliotti.
One question, have they paid all their T&T taxes? Are all the back taxes paid and all the back fees and fines paid?
Not currently.
Thank you.
An amendment to the notice of violation did go out to include that, and there are dates that they have to pay those in the upcoming month.
Okay. We'll go to public comment. Is there any public comment via Zoom?
Via Zoom, I do not have any hands raised. Oh, I just had one hand go up. Kay, you have been unmuted. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, I live locally. I live in San Diego County, and I was just wondering if this was just for private, small, as like a small wedding venue, or if this is for large scale events. I've noticed there was 2 large scale events, the last being the beginning week of June. And there was a lot of traffic on our small county road. And I was wondering if there are going to be also impact reports for the road with the amount of vehicles that it's been seeing lately since they've been having events. There was another large event as well. I want to say it was last year. It was towards the end of fire season, yet fire restrictions were still up. And I did notice that there was still allowing fires for separate parties to kind of camp along the San Benito River down on their property. So I was kind of curious if this was for a wedding venue or if this is going to possibly be for like large scale events, because I do have a concern as far as fires and the roads, which we've already had a lot of the storms are really bad this past year. And we kind of didn't get a lot of help for quite a while for clearing those roads. So yeah, I just have concerns with that and trespassing. There was also some trespassing on my family's property, and I believe on others. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but there was also a letter sent on behalf of a lot of the residents who lived in that area. And I don't know if that was brought up to the board at all, but it was sent back to that guy that was just speaking. Sorry, I don't remember your name, but I was kind of curious why the first meeting that wasn't brought up. The letter that was sent back, it was kind of on behalf of a lot of residents from the area.
Thank you.
Yes, so to answer the question about the events, so this is strictly for weddings, corporate and charity events with the maximum capacity of 250 people.
And that's part of the planning process. That can be changed by the Planning Commission, just for the public's knowledge. Back to the, is there any public comment in the chambers?
There is one public comment in chambers. Elias Linus, you may approach the podium and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. So thank you, Commissioner Scagliotti, the TOCs. They've been in business out there. I am all for economic development, and if this can be done appropriately and we make some money in San Benito County, this is great. What is it? Ask for forgiveness instead of permission, or whatever the saying is, and this is what has happened. Great question about the roads. up to 200, 250 cars out there. What are the conditions of the road, and what are they going to do to improve the roads? Is there a way to find out how much money they have made and how much money they owe the county, both in the TOCs and any sales, if they had any other kind of sales out there and on that property? So I was of the impression that, and I knew that what they were doing, and it had not ceased. So we're limited on resources, on sending somebody out there, some code enforcement to what's going on, but the public is aware that events are going on. It hasn't stopped. So at what point does the planning department, via the code enforcement, actually get some kind of an order to actually really cease and desist any kind of activity out there until they go through the proper process? Even going through the proper process, and they're going to have an EIR out there, we don't know what the response is going to be. For as much as I want to see economic development out there, I don't want to see, the public doesn't want to see the county losing money, some private person making money and laughing and sticking their thumb up to you and continuing to do that. And that is what has been happening. They didn't stop. We know they haven't stopped, and so the applicant is not here. It's too bad they're not here, because they would be able to listen to what we're talking about. We can't even confirm whether they're online on Zoom and listening to what's going on. So follow the rules. There's rules to be followed. There's a reason why they're out there, and let's find out somehow how the commission can direct to find out how much money has been made and what's going on and what we have lost for San Benito County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Salinas. So the TOT, otherwise known as the hotel tax issue, is being dealt with, and there should be a resolution shortly in the next few days, perhaps. The ongoing events is something that code enforcement or staff will deal with, I'm sure, before it comes back to us. Is there any other comment from the commissioners regarding this item, or do we close? Yes, is there any more public comment?
Commissioner, there does not appear to be any more public comment via Zoom or in chambers, but I would like to note that staff received a request to read off an anonymous letter from opponents of this project. However, staff never received the letter, so if it comes in after the meeting, would you like me to make it part of the record of the minutes of this meeting?
That, and if you could also have it in the packet when it comes back to us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Public comment is closed. Back to the commission. Any comments, or do we just thank staff for the presentation and we'll await the presentation for a vote?
Well, I have a comment. I mean, if they're going to get an anonymous letter, they might as well not even send it, because as far as I'm concerned, if you can't sign it, we don't need to read it. But that's just my own personal feeling.
Okay. Commissioner Scagliotti, do you have any thoughts?
I'd like to get a copy of the letter that was sent.
No letter has been received. I received a phone call this afternoon saying one would come to me. As soon as I get it, I will pass it out.
No, the one that the lady was talking about on Zoom. That she said that a letter was sent by people
Yes, so I
out
did.
there, sent to the applicant, and I'd like to see a copy of that.
Yes, I could provide you with that. It's an informational letter informing neighbors of the proposed project.
Yes,
That's
if you
okay.
can
Maybe
provide all of
something
us. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm done.
Any other questions or comments before we move to the next item?
I will make sure that code enforcement follows up with any of the events if there's still going on.
Okay, thank you. Public hearing, item 10.1.
All right. Hi, commissioners. A little change of venue here. I'm going to stand over here now. Stephanie Reck, Assistant Planner. I'm going to present the amendments to the Affordable Housing Regulations. Fortunately, these are much briefer than the last set we went through. So if it pleases you, I'm not going to go through every amendment on the document. I'm just going to do a general overview of the sections that were amended and the 3 main points that we hit. So the 3 items that were recommended for amendment in the ordinance was the removal of the Housing Advisory Committee as a review component of the Affordable Housing Plan workflow. So since the HAC was disbanded, it can no longer take part in reviewing housing plans. So we've removed them as the workflow, because the workflow used to be that HAC would review the first affordable housing plan, then it would go to Planning Commission, and then it would go to the board. And there was thoughts and feelings that that might be a little redundant in process, so we've removed the Housing Advisory Committee from that process. So essentially, every section in this ordinance had to have the HAC removed from it. The next was the requirement to build affordable units within 10 miles of an incorporated city. So Section 8 housing, which is run through the Housing Authority of Santa Cruz, uses a 10-mile buffer limit to provide Section 8 vouchers to citizens in the county. And so we have adopted that 10-mile limit into our inclusionary housing ordinance because we feel that affordable housing shouldn't be put any further than 10 miles outside of any city limit. And so the board directed us that off-site units, which are proposed outside of that 10-mile limit, must be built within that 10-mile limit. So essentially all units, all affordable units in the county are now required to be built within 10 miles of an incorporated city. So no affordable housing will go any farther than that radius. And then we updated the percentage breakdown for off-site units, off-site rental units at 24 lots or more. And I will show you that as we move down. So these are the amended sections. So section 1, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, just a few. And most of the amendments, like I said, were about the Housing Advisory Committee. The on-site and off-site section are the ones that have the information about the 10-mile limit and the breakdown between the inclusionary requirement. So our first amendment is in 2103004, Development Requiring Inclusionary Contribution, which looks to be page 8 in your packet of the amended ordinance. So what we've added in item B is that affordable units will be required to be constructed within 10 miles of an incorporated city within San Benito County. If a residential development is proposed outside of the 10-mile radius, the development's corresponding affordable units shall be located off-site and may be located outside of the planning area of the market rate project. This is subject to approval by the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors. And the quantity of affordable units constructed off-site shall be calculated according to the off-site inclusionary requirement. So basically, if a developer came in and proposed an on-site development that was outside of the 10-mile limit, we're going to require them to build off-site units within that 10-mile limit. So he's going to have a percentage requirement of on-site and a percentage requirement of off-site for the units that are going to be off-site. And as you know, on-site units are 15%, off-site units are 20% inclusionary requirement. I did go over this with Seth Capron, our development professional, and his recommendation was actually to remove this from this section. He felt it was redundant, so take that in mind as we go through the rest of the amendments. And then staff just would like to point out that a minor error I missed was that if we keep B in this section, the references to C and D just have to change. So our county council pointed that out to us. And so the second mention of the 10-mile limit is in 2103006 on-site affordable units. It's basically a very similar sentence to the first one. So if developments are proposed outside of the 10-mile limit, they have to construct their off-site units. Those off-site units may be located outside of the planning area of that market rate project if that on-site project is outside of that 10-mile limit. And then again, it's subject to approval by the Planning Commission and the board, and the quantity of off-site units must be calculated according to their off-site inclusionary requirement. And the same amendment has been included in 2103007 for off-site affordable units. So I will refrain from reading it a third time. The last amendment is from 2103007, again, off-site affordable units. So staff were directed to break up the 20% requirement for off-site rental units at 24 lots or more. So the previous breakdown used to be 5% for very low income, 10% for low income, and 5% for moderate income. So we've just broken it out into 7.5% for very low and 7.5% for low. This still leaves the majority of the 15% at low income, but it provides a little more equity between very low and low income in terms of percentage. And then the smaller percentage, the 5% remaining, is provided to the moderate income units. And so those are all the amendments. Do you guys have any questions or comments or concerns?
Before we go to public comment? Before we go to public comment, do the commissioners have any comments, questions, or concerns?
Yes.
Commissioner Way.
I have 2 issues with the wording. Might not be anything to worry about, but I tend to be very precise with these things. On item B, paragraph B, the 2103-007, the next slide, and the slide before, the 2103-004, both make reference to cities within San Benito County. 2103-006 doesn't mention San Benito County. I'm worried that this could be interpreted as, well, proposed more than 10 miles from an incorporated city, but it's an incorporated city in Santa Clara County, so it still falls within this. So I'd just like to add the San Benito County wording to 2103-006.
Absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out.
Sure. And the other concern that I had is the business about from an incorporated city or within X miles of an incorporated city. The cities, some of them have odd shapes. Well, both Hollister and San Juan have odd shapes to some extent. Does this imply that it's from the farthest, you could get away with putting them within 10 miles of the farthest corner of Hollister? And if so, do we want to maybe change the wording so that it's within 10 miles of the town center, within 10 miles of the city hall, within 10 miles of the post office, something a little more central?
Ariel, Abraham, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, normally it's within the property lines of the jurisdiction.
Okay.
So then, for example, we have our wonderful GIS tool that can tell us, graphics or radius. Basically, we'll hit the property line, and then from there we'll be able to tell from the jurisdiction line.
Okay, so in reality, we're actually allowing the development to be more than 10 miles from the center of town.
Yeah, so that's how Section 8 also does it. It's from the city
Okay.
limits.
As long as we're consistent with how Section 8 does it, I'm happy. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, or concerns before we turn it over to the public? Okay, is there any public comment in the chambers?
Yes, there's one public comment. 1 minute. In chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I do have a question, and I know that you're following the Section 8 with regards to the 10-mile radius, and we know that San Juan Bautista is only 7 miles from Hollister. And we also know that San Juan Bautista is actually not very friendly to actually building in San Juan Bautista. So does that mean that it's going to be proposed, and they're going to go to San Juan Bautista? San Juan Bautista can actually deny that development. It's not like they're forced because it's going to be off-site. So it's the same thing for the city of Hollister as well, and are all off-site, whether you're going to put them in the same jurisdiction as low and low income, what we already have. You seem to it seems to be very divisive, and with regards to the haves and have-nots, that I can buy a $5 home, but I got a $1 home or $1 apartment, and you're not going to allow me to live near your $5 home because I'm low or low income. It's very divisive. So is there a way to work around that? And is the 10-mile, because it's used by Section 8 in Santa Cruz, is that set by state statute, or we're just following a guideline of what Section 8 is used in in Santa Cruz County. And not everyone that's going to live in low and low income or very low and low income are going to be Section 8 folks either. So how does that work? I'm very curious because, as I say, San Juan Bautista is not friendly to any development, actually. And Hollister, where are you going to put them? Are you going to put them over on the west side of town? Or are you going to put them over by Santana Ranch because there's already apartments over there? Are you going to find some kind of an island here within the city? There's a lot more than just to say, okay, we're going to do this, especially because it's 10 miles and you're not directing. And I know that Mr. Prado worked for the city of Hollister, and he's aware of all the pockets that are within. And maybe, the stance on being inclusive of new housing has changed within the city of Hollister. And I know that we're based, the cities and the counties are mandated by the state. So how does that affect where these houses are going to be built? Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment via Zoom?
No public comment via Zoom.
Public comment is closed. Staff, if you could inform us all of that discussion, please.
Yeah, so a couple of things. I think there might be a distinction that needs to be made between the city and county. So if a county application comes in, while the city could comment on it, the city doesn't have approval on that application. It is a county application and a county project. So it would be in the unincorporated county. We do not do any projects within incorporated city. So like you're saying with San Juan Bautista, if they want to disapprove the project, if it's in the unincorporated area of the county outside of San Juan Bautista, it is this planning commission and board of supervisors who approves, not the city of San Juan Bautista, and because it's an unincorporated area. You mentioned something about the affordability of units. It is, while it was, the board wants to look into eliminating our in lieu fee to make it possible to build these affordable units and make it affordable and economicable, is that a word? And yes, what else? I think that was it.
The board is looking to eliminate the in lieu fee?
It's something they have discussed at, so they did not direct us to do that, but it was discussed during some of the last ordinance amendments.
So the goal is that even though you're outside, because we've had, in not anytime recent, but there was one point where most of it's rangeland, and so maybe you had like a 10,000 acre parcel and you're breaking up into multiple 40 acres. Well, it might trigger the inclusionary ordinance. Well, instead of them just paying a fee, it would require them to build a unit, but build it off site and not part of that development, as an example.
But the current ordinance allows that. In order to just simply pay the fee, the planning commission would have to recommend to the board that to allow that. Simply paying the fee isn't an option from a developer. They have to be granted that option by the board with
Correct.
the planning
It's a
commission's
request.
recommendation. So I'm not understanding why they would get rid of the fee.
They're not getting rid of the fee. They're modifying the specific language of the requirement that even though you're outside that 10-mile radius, you're still being able to build unit. The requirement is still to build units. So you would have building a unit and then maybe a partial fee. So let's say it's like 1.24 units. So you would build a unit off-site if you can't build it on-site. They want more units built in the county.
Okay, I was under the impression that's what our ordinance did, but I guess we'll see what happens. Thank you. Any other comments from the commissioners? Or is there a discussion on any of the language changes?
I have a comment.
Commissioner Toledo.
Like I said, I'm still new at all this, but is it possible to add any information in this a resolution as far as collaborating with independent contractors that are local and not outside the county, that so we can help our community? I'm not sure if that,
What would be the purpose of adding that into this resolution?
oh, okay, I'm just asking.
It would,
Oh, in the ordinance?
it would be in
The
the ordinance,
ordinance, yeah.
not the resolution.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, is that, let me take a look at what section that might fall in.
Would a local bonus be part of a different ordinance that may or may not happen?
Well, we do have density bonus and incentive, so if you're talking about making that an incentive, we could add it into that section. But we can create additional incentives on top of the ones that the state allows.
Well, we could put it under additional standards.
Additional standards, oh yeah, 210316. Okay, so you would like us to include in the ordinance that the county will make every effort to work with local developers?
absolutely. Just so we can help revenue for our county, if that makes sense.
I'm going to change the wording a little bit on that, please.
Commissioner
Oh, yeah,
Scagliotti?
please do.
Not developers, contractors.
Thank you so
No
much.
local developers,
Thank you.
contractors.
Sean, is there any
I appreciate that. Thank
labor
you.
laws issues with that?
There may be restrictions on being able to do that.
Okay.
There are some commerce sort of legal issues with preferential treatment towards your locality.
Okay. I just wanted to know and better understand that since I'm still new at all that, but I just want to
Yeah.
make sure that we help our community first.
You'd have to,
Can you come up to the podium,
Yeah.
Elia? Thank you, Elia.
so we can get it on the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for adding and allowing me to speak further. So can, what Supervisor Toledo is asking is, can that be based, and Supervisor Scagliotti, sorry, can we have a merit system or merit points when we're going through the development process, that those developers, some kind of an incentive that local contractors get hired somehow? Is there, I know that, for instance, if you're going to build something, the county can require, but I guess it's a little different, that they have to be union contractors. Okay, so is there a way to implement that? It's our local folks that are working. I mean, we had this with the solar project down in South County when that was built. That had to be built by local contractors, and that was a private industry. So it's not a government entity where you're required, but that was. So how does that work out if it's possible?
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we can look at that, but we would have to look at it because there can be restrictions around, like I said, giving preferential treatment to your locality as opposed to.
And would the best place for that be in this ordinance or a upcoming ordinance that we're discussing?
That's Mr. Chair, if I may, that's exactly what I was going to indicate, that with the update of the housing element that we're working on, we have Kimberly Horn who's helping us with that, and we can work together to see if as a land use, as a policy and recommendation on that document, work with absolutely local organizations that can potentially will work out the kinks in regards to hire local contractors if that's the ability to be able to work locally and bring in, because really the creation of affordable housing, really it needs the support of organizations such as CHISPA, such as CSTC, and so definitely we want to partner with them as a county. So
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're
I just wanted to make sure.
you're welcome.
Okay. Commissioner Scagliotti?
More question. On that, can we put that if it does go to an outside developer or somebody from outside the county and they buy all their product from outside the county, that the drop tax comes to San Benito County?
Is that in development agreements? We have to do a drop tax? If we choose to do a drop tax, would that be in a development agreement? As opposed to a condition of approval for a tentative map or something?
I'm not sure I understand. Can you?
If they don't buy their supplies within the county, that we basically charge a portion of a sales tax because they're not supporting local businesses with purchases of wood or what have you.
We would have to look at that too. Yeah, the same sort of idea of giving preferential treatment to your locality and that sort of thing. It can be restricted.
That's not
And
preferential treatment, that's just charging a tax to cover our bills.
So Sean, I believe, doesn't it have to go through through the voting process if you're gonna add a tax?
Taxes do have to be approved by, yes.
Yeah,
And
so,
they have
so
to-
that,
yeah.
and that has its own process.
It does.
And probably we would need some board direction on that.
Okay. Are there any other comments, questions, concerns? Is there a motion on the table? Because public comment is closed. Any recommendations to approve, modify what we've been provided?
I make a motion that we approve with the modifications that we asked for.
With the
Can we
modifications
be
presented?
specific about that?
So there was we need to add San Benito into 008.
Yeah.
No, 2103006.
006, okay. And then I think that's really the only amendment other than we want to look into if the county can work with local contractors or a drop tax, but it sounds like we need a county council to look into that first.
I think we'll look into it through the housing element process and not
Or the-
necessarily its ordinance.
Or the growth management? Yes.
Which is part of the, yes.
Well, then,
Yep.
Given that clarification, then I would second that.
Okay, so we have a motion regarding the change of the language in 006, and we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Was that a 5-0?
Yeah.
Okay, 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Next item.
Oh, okay. And where are we? Where does that leave us?
Commissioner announcements?
Commissioner announcements. Before we go into everyone else, I just wanted you to see the Excel spreadsheet that's always on the, under department announcements. That's to help us track items that are coming before us or items that we as the commission request be coming before the commission. So if there's any special things you'd like to see, please let's discuss them and get them agendized. That's it for me. Any other commissioners have any announcements? Oh, looks like, is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. There we go. Motion carries 5-0. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
I'm sorry, Robert, I thought you heard. I think you and I said it the same time.